So I'm going to let you into a little secret. I, in the past, have struggled massively with my mental health, and I haven't necessarily spoke about it public. I might have wrote something not that long ago for social media, but that was really the first time I'd ever discussed it. And I was quite apprehensive, but I would say the narrative and the talking that goes on around mental health these days made me feel a little bit more like I was able to. So the story is for years we've had the farm, and I've had our farm shops and our diversification projects, and I had a young family and things like this, and we had to open up a new shop because we were moving from another one. That was in itself quite stressful, and we had a very turbulent few years on the farm and in the shop in our city centre in Cambridge, and that came with its own pitfalls and stresses. And then over time, I didn't realise it, but I wasn't dealing with it very well. But it was manifesting with physical symptoms, so chest pains, heart palpitations, sudden spikes of adrenaline. And I didn't really know how to deal with it because as I'm very jolly, and it didn't really affect my mental health in the state of depression. So, in fact, as it turns out, I don't think I've ever necessarily been fully depressed or in need of any antidepressant help. I felt it was something different. But what I did, what was the most important thing, is I spoke to everyone around me when I was feeling this way. I spoke to my wife, and I also visited the doctor. Now, one of the issues I had with the doctor was that, I'd walk in and I was generally myself, I'm quite jolly, and I was saying to them, look, I don't think I'm depressed, I'm struggling with something else. And they went through a few things with me, and we got to the bottom of that in its own way. It turned out, with all the real big struggles and problems that I'd had with the setup of this new start of the business, and I won't bore the details, but it was intense, and we had to do a lot of rejigging, and I thought we were going to go under. It was quite heavy. And the person dealing with me, it's actually turned out it was a form of PTSD. So the issue I had then was COVID hit. But when COVID hit, it only delayed the problem because we were so busy with COVID, and financially COVID helped us as a business. So it sort of put it on the back burner, and I wasn't so worried about the financial side of things for the farm for a year or two. But then as COVID started to disappear, so did footfall in the shop, and obviously twinned with the problems farming can bring, which you're already sort of used to, the shop added to a new layer of that. So over time, I'd started to get the symptoms back, and they used to get worse. And excuse me, I went to the doctor and I said, I've told I had this PTSD and things like this, and I said it's just not doing very well. And and they said, oh no, you're just they try, and sometimes they can just try and write you off, but persevere. Because I said, I'm not sure what's going on, but I need something else. And do you know what? I eventually managed to get hold of the top doctor at my surgery, who straight away, because he knows me and I've actually been going there for a long time, and he was like, and we always talk about cricket, which is nice. So he's a big fan of cricket. And so I said to him about it, and he was a bit like, oh, what? Oh, Christ. Oh, that's not right. He said, you're living on the edge. You live on stress. You've got this hyper life where you're constantly pushing and battling on. And he said, we'll fix that. And he prescribed me some medication that helped with the symptoms of anxiety and stress. So it sort of stopped the spikes of adrenaline and things like this. And it made a huge impact on my life. I suddenly felt back in control, and it made me be able to use my brain to think logically and calm down a bit. And essentially, when you're in farming or another stressful kind of industry, you rely on the stress to get the job done, and that is not sustainable. That was nearly finishing me off, and I'd need the spike of adrenaline to get going, or I needed the fear of going under to really push on. And actually it made me really grow up in the sense, in my head, if you like, in the sense of there's no need for the stress. You just need to be a bit more calculated about how you go about things, and sensible, and not burn the candle at both ends, which your mum always tells you about, doesn't she? So I now have no tablets at all. I still have some problems with it, but it's not necessarily a problem for me anymore, because when I can feel something coming on, like, because you can get panic attacks or panics in those senses, they I can get rid of them. But the key for me was I used the medication when I needed to, and I came off it when I felt comfortable to do so. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't have spoke to other people and spoken to my doctor and tackled the issues. And now I'm absolutely fine and I feel great. And the fact is, what I've had is a very small dipping my toe in the water of mental health issues. There'll be more out there who don't know where to turn and can't access this video, or can't speak to their wife, or they daren't go to the doctor, or they just feel like they're just hopeless. And we need to ensure that's not happening anymore. So I just want to do my bit, and hopefully if someone watches this who's had similar experiences, you can get the help you need too.